Ladies and gentlemen, it's Me and Green Nation Podcast. Welcome to it. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what?
What?
It's a beautiful Sunday morning. My coffee tastes better. My water tastes more refreshing. Like my wife looks more beautiful. No, look at that. Looks refreshing from here. And I don't want to say it's because, but I think these things are highly correlated. You know,
It
that
could
it
be a
made me.
reason.
Yeah, and then the next day it's like I don't know. Sunday morning is just so much better. You know what I mean? Like I was looking at this rain. There's rain happening here at MGN HQ, and I don't know. I see it. I was like, wow, look at the Earth. Just hydrating. Way to stay hydrated, Earth.
Well, I've got the opposite going. I've got a bright sunny day.
Yeah,
It's
and
it's
then
on it's fall.
yeah, it's amazing. So if in case you didn't know, and I imagine there's like one listener that's like, you know what, I'm not gonna watch the game. I'm just gonna tune into the podcast to let me know everything that happened, and I respect that. I don't think that's the most efficient way to follow this team, but I respect it. You live your own life. You know what I mean? Don't let people tell you what to do, man. You do it
I'm
how you
sure there's a lot of people that do that.
no.
I'd rather
Uh,
wait.
yeah. If you're like, what is I'm listening? This is a Mingru Nation podcast. One of a few. Right. I was looking at like what is the superlative that we have? We're not the oldest because I think that's the Go Mean Green one. We're not the most official because I think that's the like the North Texas podcast. Whatever the one Hank does, right? We're not like the newest because I think that's the Gridiron one. We're not the coolest. We're not even the most endorsed, right? Because I think Dave Campbell liked the other one. I don't know what they're called anymore. There's another one he likes them. Um, so we're just like we're the mean we're just we're this one.
Oh yeah, those guys.
There you go. It's fine. We're that one. We're that Mean Green Nation podcast. And you can find us all over the place on all
Well,
the sites, all the things.
I think it's
But
specific to generations, right?
yeah,
Um, eh, Harry's generation. Um, our generation was I don't know how to put a number to theirs, and but ours was like the end of the Dickie era where everybody
yeah.
got excited, right? You
I
gain a new
mean,
following.
you can say it. They're the Dickey era. We're the Dodge era. Dodge era plus. And then there's like
Well,
maybe a Seth Luttrell one.
well, you can't skip on what's his face? 2013, 2014 season.
I'm
Um,
not. I'm not. I mean, but like that's when we like when you went to school and like the people that you're sort of talking to, that I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, we're here now. We're talking about Eric Morris and stuff. But I think the people that I think mostly listen to us are the ones that came up during the Dodge time, and they were like,
oh yeah, yeah, I
"That's
agree. But I'm saying like I think fandoms get created at specific spikes,
I see
and you see
at
them
the
like
high
around
point."
the 2004, 2005, early Dodge before all that happened.
I
2013,
get,
2014, Heart of Dallas, and now Eric Morris. Oh, in the Latrell era.
I got it. I got it. All right, so maybe we're on another spike right now, right? And so there's maybe going to be a Mean Green and TikTok or something. I don't know. Uh, North Texas 44, Wyoming, Wyoming.
Why?
I was looking at that. I was like, why do we pronounce it that way? Wyoming is what I want to call it. 17. They only scored 17 points. Now you're like, man, they're one of the lowest scoring teams in the nation. How did we allow 17 to them? That's their season high. Well, they returned the kick all the way. And my wife sometimes says I'm too understanding, you know. And I will say that maybe it was like, you know what? I think some of the injuries along the depth chart kind of limited our kick return game, right? Because we're asking other people to step up. I don't know. That may be it. I don't know. I didn't like the kick return game. That dude's fast. The guy that did it, he was like a Texas Tech transfer. So Texas Tech, bothering us yet again a week later. Uh, but as it was, we allowed the offense 10 points, which is the same as BYU did, just a little bit more than Arizona State did, and a little bit less than Idaho did. Right. So right about their season average. Evan Svoboda, 11 passes completed of 23. That's under 50%. That's 48%, folks. And I know you did your math in your head. Great job. I didn't want to be the team that allowed him to crack that mark. He's yet to have a game where he's completed more than 50% of his passes. And so kudos to the team.
Yeah,
Um,
you need a soundboard so we can get those applauses going and
I
all those things.
have that. I have it. Let's see. Let's see. Where's a good one? Is it the big? Is it a big applause? Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about our studio audience. Thanks, guys. Been so patient over
Appreciate it.
there. Yeah,
Feels good.
yeah. Oh, so what did you think about that kick return?
Uh,
They didn't like it. Okay, they didn't like it. Okay,
well,
yeah.
he started, you know, I didn't like it for sure. I don't know. I can't hear the studio audience, so I don't know how they felt about it. But yeah, it was you saw it bring it out, and I was like, why is he bringing it out? And then I'm like, oh no! Within the first 10 yards, you see everybody locked and engaged in a block.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do
Mm-hmm.
it! And he
Mm-hmm.
does. It was very disappointing.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, I think that when you lose guys, you lose some of your depth chart. Like I haven't. I tell you, I don't pay very close attention to the kick return group, like who's on it, who's not on it. One, because it's on TV and they don't really show it so well. But I think if for those of you at the stadium, you can kind of see who's out there regularly. So my guesstimate is that there's some different players out there or something, or somebody slipped or whatever. Let's pause here because we just talked about how we held them right. Um, Only 175 yards passing total, like, and I think 20 yards of that came after it didn't matter anymore, right? We held them to only 65 yards rushing, including their starting guy, Scott, 11 carries, 39 yards. Jones, who's a converted defensive back after being converted from running back, only had 18 yards. And then Evan Svoboda ran for 14. And then the other kid, Farrell, negative 6 yards rushing for that guy. So 2.1 yards rushing. We haven't held a team to less than 100 rush yards since Louisiana Tech 2 years ago, in 2022. And then we hadn't held I'm talking about FBS team because we held SFA to less. We haven't held an FBS team to under 70 since FIU in 2021. So this was a notable game. Now, I understand because I think even the Wyoming guys are saying this. Uh, they're like, hey, the Cowboys not a good offense. They're not good. Like so, you know, you held a not good team to not good stats. Like, what is your point? Well, consider that FIU last year. I know y'all didn't watch FIU the rest of the way. I don't blame you for not doing it, but they were not good offensively, and yet they looked very good against the North Texas Mean Green. And Cal was pretty mediocre by, Pac-12 standards last year, the Pac-12. And they looked very good against the North Texas Mean Green. And so, I think we're all talking about a test. Their coach, Salvell, was talking about this. He's like, it's going to be telling our offense against their defense. That's the big thing, right? Can we do some things? We want to do it. They are taking a little heat for not being able to move the ball against everybody. He's like, I know they're like, oh, we're going to do some things against a team that can't complete a pass. We showed up, right? Team showed up. 240 total yards allowed, 175 yards passing. That's the first time we've allowed less than 200 yards passing in like a year and a half or something. It was like La Tech again. And I think the rushing yard's big, right? We're climbing out of that that basement level. Um, I think last year's team probably allows Wyoming to get over 100 or at least have a good game, a little bit of a normal game. And this year's team shut them down. They looked very good. So we asked for progress. We're gonna see. That's why we set the expectations. What are we asking for? We want progress. We don't think we're going to be best in the nation. I mean, they haven't been, but we want progress. We want improvement. We want improvement in key areas like third downs when it matters. We need like 3 or 4 stops a game, right? That's it. Yes, you're going to get beat. Yes, you'll bend but don't break. That's what we want. We need some turnovers. And don't be the worst rushing team in the nation, right? That's what we
That's
want.
all we're asking for. I mean,
Yeah.
is that a lot to ask for?
And
Um,
so, what were your impressions of the defense? You know,
you
I
know,
guess
there's all
we'll get into that 3-4 look later, but go ahead.
sure. There were times that they still get engaged on the line. They can't get to the quarterback. Granted, this dude is like what 6 foot 11, 6 foot 12,
Yeah,
300 pounds. This
yeah,
quarterback, Svoboda, hard to
yeah.
bring down.
Officially, he's 6'5", 250, but I think you're right. I think he might
About
be
the
tag
same.
size. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that if I tried to tackle him, I'd probably get something broken. Um, but the defensive backs were still able to do their job, even though they had a lot of injuries back there. We're running out a lot of freshmen or a lot of underclassmen. And even so, we were able to hold down and perform at this level against a D1 squad, another FBS school. We're not talking about an FCS squad. We're not talking about a team we paid to bring out here. This was another team that should be at our level, and we were able to perform the way we should perform on paper against this team. We knew that they're not great, and we didn't allow them to look better than what they are ranked as, or you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're not a good team.
We didn't let them look better than they are, right?
Exactly.
They've put on tape or film. You know, just a note. Because I put out that film room, I was recommended like a Chase Daniel. I guess he's doing something similar, and he's like, Chase Daniel breaks down film. And I was like, well, let me give Chase Daniel a little time of day, sort of my era. He said something like, "The film doesn't lie about what you put on tape," and I was like, "That's is it film? Is it tape? Is it digital video? I don't know." And they took me out of the whole thing. I had to just get out. Anyway, so you're right. What they've shown is that they're not good, right? Um, they like as you turn around like the center snapping it over this guy. He's 6'5" or 6'12", and that ball's still flying over his head. You're like, come on, dude, what are you doing? And that
Mhm.
happened in this game. We showed that. Svoboda's missed wide open dudes, and he missed wide open dudes in this one. He also hit a guy. Um, and then like they're just not able to move the ball. They can't get pushed. They can't run. They can't throw. They can't find guys. It looks like a Dan McCarney era offense. I got to say, if you're like, it looks like that. It's like a lot of single back, and you're like, you know what? If this play would come off, it would be good. But they can't run the ball, and then their quarterback can't keep the defense honest. He's missing wide open dudes, and that's what happened tonight. North Texas held it. They didn't leave guys wide open. They got to the quarterback enough. I mean, again, he's a 6'5" dude. I think was it 89 that Dawkins got a hold of him, but then like fell off of him or something. He's a big guy, and he do we have a sack? We had two sacks. I can't. I'm looking at it right
I
now.
don't know how to read this thing.
No, I don't think we had a sack. Um. Anyway, but yeah, like we had him locked up, and then he fires a completion. They allowed first downs. I don't think we allowed we s- I don't think we got a 3-and-out. Oh, they had 4 3-and-outs. It was a little bit later, right? Yeah, looks like. Yeah, it was in the second half 3-and-outs. It was 3 plays punt, 3 plays 4 yards punt, 3 plays no yards a punt, and then they turned it over on downs after 11 plays. But in that first half, I think where everybody cared, it was 11 plays for them field goal, 6 plays for them 16 yards punt, 8 plays, 56 yards, and they turned it over on downs. 8 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. That's the one where um, they found the running back over the middle. And that was fine. Like whatever. I was okay with that. And then they locked in third quarter, three straight 3-and-outs. North Texas just walked away with the game. Um, so I just finished by saying about the 3-4 look, right? I thought it was smart because of all the circumstances, right? I think when you're trying to be more right instead of trying to win the game, that's when you get in trouble, right? We've always said that. Like, whatever your ideas are, if it's not about winning, then you're just being an egomaniac, right? If you're like, no, 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 I believe in my offense, And I do you believe in it because you just want it to like I want to work and I want it to be this play that I designed up, or is it? And there's a subtle difference. Do I think that my play works and will lead to winning? Right, my design, my scheme, my whatever, my position choice, my depth chart organization. Do I believe it that it will lead to winning, or do I just want to get to shine and make myself look good? Right, which one is it? And I wonder if there's a little bit of that with this 3-3-5. This it's not just a 3-3-5 because we ran a 3-3-5 with um Refit. This is a three high. We have three safeties high, right? We don't have our safeties close to the line of scrimmage, which is what that version of it does. Anyway, so we had four linebackers out there. We essentially took that star, right? We didn't play a lot of Javen Anderson. I think he might have been hurt. I don't know what the deal was, but we didn't have a star safety. And you might remember on that film room when I said he has middle linebacker responsibilities in the three high defense, right? We only have two linebackers, but our middle linebacker type responsibilities go to the star safety. Well, we took him out of there, and we put in another linebacker, right? It was the Whittier. So we had seven on the right. We had 32, 24 in the middle. That's Chavez Brown, Wazlowski, and Sevens Whittier. And then we had 36. Now I'm blanking on his name. Um, he's on the left side. Is it I can't. Is it Jaden Brown? I can't think of his name. That was our 3-4 look. It wasn't too different than what we normally run. We just dropped basically that star safety into the middle. We got a little heavier in there, and I think it worked, especially since Wyoming has two tight ends. They run a lot of heavy sets, and we sort of killed that idea that they were going to run against us. Now, all that said, we did the same. We did the old defense against SFA. It had success. They did some similar things. But I liked it. I think it's a nice change up. Gives the offenses the rest of the way something to look at. My guess is that against better pass teams, we're gonna use more of our three high sets. And then whenever we get our safeties back, some of those guys that have been suspended indefinitely, et cetera, right? We get to see what it looks like. But famously, I guess in defensive circles, the dude that I don't want to say invented, but went to the three high safety look at Iowa State. He had a four down, 4-3 defense, 4-2-5 defense. It wasn't working, so he went to something different, right? Big 12 was very spread heavy. They said, let's do this. This will stop it. It did. I think we've run into a lot of run first teams, and so we need a little bit more beef on the field, right? And we didn't add another lineman, but we added another linebacker, and I don't hate that. I like the versatility of the 3-4. I've always been a fan of the 3-4 defense. Anyway, you got any thoughts on that one, or you just happy that they got it done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to add to what you said. I think it's Smith for 36, if that was
Yeah,
what you were asking
Jalen's.
earlier.
Yeah, Jalen's
Um,
terrible.
the I think a lot of our performance was more sound. I remember last week we were going back to the old mistakes of not being patient and hitting the alleys too quickly. Um, not trying to make the play, but then allowing the running back to just get around that gap. They kept calling him what was it? Not Najee Harris, not Najee Harris. What was the other
Taj
guy that
Taj Brooks. Is that what you're talking about?
right. They kept calling him he was patient for the hole, waiting for the blocks to engage, waiting and then the our guys would get impatient, try to go into the gap, and then once that guy would go into the gap, there'd be nobody else behind him, so Brooks would just pick the other gap and explode for 15, 20 yards or whatever, right?
Yeah, he
I
had a
didn't.
little bit of that. What was that Jets running back guy that would do that for a little bit? I can't remember his name either.
That's where I'm blanking on.
Yeah,
And so this
Javion
week,
Javion Bell, Le'Veon Bell. That's what I'm thinking.
thank you,
That
Le'Veon Bell, and we know football. We talk football.
NFL
Um,
fans here. That's who we are.
and
Yeah,
anyway, I saw more patience this week. A lot more sound football, and I think that's the direction that we need to stick with. Obviously, we're looking at the tape. We've got we're teaching these guys what to do. Right, the last year we thought Is nobody doing anything to improve? Is nobody looking at the tape? Is nobody teaching these guys how to tackle? Those were all discussions and frustrations we had last year, and I think we're seeing that improvement. Again, we have to repeat that this was a great performance
Terrible.
against a good or a bad team. A good performance against a bad team. We looked good doing it, and that's what you want that takeaway to be. Um, and yeah, th those are my thoughts. I don't have any specific three, four thoughts. I just, in general, thought that we performed the way we should have, and more sound football against this team.
Yeah, that's good. It's what you want. You want to beat up a bad team. Good teams beat bad teams, right? Like I always say this that you want it to look like, oh yeah, clearly this team is better, right? In all aspects, you want to demonstrate that we have better players, we have a better scheme, we have the home field advantage. We're playing better this season. We want all that to come out in this game because no win is guaranteed, right? There's lots of upsets all the time, and so you want to make it so. Show it on the field, right? On paper, we're better. Let's go prove it. And they went out and did it, and that's no small thing, right? It doesn't get it's not going to get front page. Do they still do front pages of newspapers anymore? But it's not going to be the number one. Like North Texas, wow, they whooped up on Wyoming. It's because it's expected. But I'd rather have a lot of these expected wins. That's fine, right? We'll take these. We don't want the unexpected. Like, oh, North Texas lost to Wyoming. Dang, how that? No thanks. It's not happening.
Right. Or barely scooted by or allowed
Yeah,
400 yards.
yeah. Needed a Hail Mary, a la Colorado. Uh, Shut him out in the second half. How about that? Another shutout. Again, quiet, quiet things about the defense. I understand why everybody was upset, and I don't blame you for it because I think one part of being a football team is being entertaining, and losing 66-21 is not entertaining, right? And so you look at all of the stuff, and you're like, man, we look bad. I don't like it. Start firing people, right? I get that. That's part of the thing. So there's a little bit of like presentation element. Like, you want you want the front of the house to look nice and neat and orderly. Here's your order, sir. Right? Look at that. Duck à l'orange. And then the kitchen, it could be like, where's the duck? Where's the orange? Like they could be arguing with each other. That's fine. But when it comes out to the front, I don't want to know what's going on back there. I don't want to know that the sous chef cut himself or something. Like, I don't care, right? Just don't have like bugs or something, and it's fine. So yeah, like you want it that way here. Like I don't want to know how difficult it was to beat Wyoming. You just want to beat them, right? You also don't want to get embarrassed by Texas Tech. So there's an aspect of that. But I think what we want to do, what MeanGreenNation.com wants to do, is have like some smart opinions, and I just be like, "Why don't we score touchdowns?" Right? Like, yeah, we do a little bit of that, but also, well, we were trying to do this, and then this didn't happen, and this is the aim of their offense. This is what they're trying to do, right? So we try to understand this 3-3-5, so we can have smart criticisms, right? Like it's like last week, there was a couple plays where like, well, that's not the players. That was a play call, right? Play call versus play call. Um, and I think now we could say we see improvement. I see Capone making some choices, right? And say this is going to be better. I also think that um, last season he didn't really have the tools, right? He had one Phillips head screwdriver, and that was kind of it. And they're like, well, we need a hammer in this situation. He's like, well, still got the Phillips head screwdriver, and that's what I'm gonna use. Like, all right, well, can you stop this? Phillips head. That's all. That's all I got. Um, and
Well,
so now he has a few more tools, and then some he hasn't been able to use. I think it's huge along that defensive line. Dawkins, Shipley, the other dude, the big dude with the V last name. I can never remember his last name.
Bailea, something like that.
No, well, he was here, but he was like a backup, I think. But the other dude, but his number is like 97. He's like the other defensive tackle. Like I'm blanking again. Bad, bad
Couldn't
host.
help you.
Um, but my point is that there are more tools. I see them getting better, and so I'm not gonna, you know, call for his head. You know what I mean? Get him out of here. And I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I think good things are happening. Is it? I think it's Charles. That's what I'm thinking of. It's not a V. God, I'm terrible. Um, does that
yeah.
make
Who are
sense?
you?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, and other guys have to have. We were asking for other guys to step up to help Tejada in the secondary to help. Um, no, I'm doing bad. Rod Brown
Yeah.
on the line. Um, and it's early in the morning. The sun just came up, but I don't care. Um, and we're seeing that, right? We had an injury. Nelson was hurt. He has been performing well, and he had to be
Hmm.
out. So we brought in Hill to start in this place, and he
No,
got banged up.
they brought in because Nelson's a quarterback. They brought in
Sorry,
Starling.
Starling. Thank you.
Starling played well. They were rotating, and I thought he played a good game.
And so many guys just hurting right there. I think Reuter's on the scorecard. He got a couple of tackles.
Was it in
Yeah.
special teams? I think
Uh,
it's special
I
teams.
don't know. He's just yeah. It might have been special teams. It might have been in garbage time. I don't know. But good for him getting some play time. Um. Anyway, that I'm getting distracted now. To your point, is yes, we're starting to see other guys step up, make plays, help out on defense. So it's not just Tejada on an island trying to do everything. And we're finally starting to see. And I can't remember, recruiting from a couple of years ago and how these guys are panning out. But I feel like we had a lot of good defensive backs coming in from high school, and that might be what
Well,
we're seeing now.
yeah, that's definitely Nelson, and that's definitely Starling. Like
Hmm.
they are gonna be the future. Right now, it's Ridge Tejada, but this is the senior season, right? He's gonna graduate, so you can see the future. We need to like this. All defenses need good corners, but this defense asks the corners to do a lot, right? You're gonna get maybe you get help from safeties, maybe you don't, but you have to be good in one-on-one matchups on the edge, right? I think Starling has been pretty solid. And then what I really like about both the corners, all the corners, that they're willing to come up and tackle. And like sure, coaching staff is coaching them up, but they come up, make tackles. Like I think Rich Todd is this tiny guy, but he'll fly up and he doesn't make business decision type things, right? He'll get in there and he'll hurt somebody. Like Starling made a tackle on the running back coming at him today. We've highlighted on the film ones before. I've clipped it and put how to make your tackles in the back, taking on an offensive lineman, right? Tackle coming at you. He takes the outside edge and makes the tackle on the running back. Good stuff. You absolutely need that, and I really appreciate them doing that. They're not, like I defend the pass, buddy. I don't come up here and make tackles. You know, that ain't me. No, they're up there doing some work. It's good. I like it. So yeah, to your point, everybody's got everybody's getting a little bit better. It's an improvement on the Jimmys and Joes. And I think we got to judge Capone on that too, right? He made some adjustments. The defense is improving. They're constantly working to improve. Same thing. Give Eric more some credit too, because he's staying patient. I think he understands that when you make a hire, it's not just a game to game hire, right? He has a plan and he understands the thing, and he's given his staff and his group room to improve, right? And then, empowering them and all that good stuff. But then also stepping in, like, hey, look, let's make sure that we're not being ego driven here, right? Let's not I'd rather you have a good defense and you figure out what defense equals a good defense than you absolutely implementing this three high, right? Like if the three high is not working in this moment, let's do something different if that gets us a win. And then maybe we can move back to that or figure out what's going on, right? Everybody, good defensive coaches change, right? Nick Saban was a 3-4 guy, and then they went to like a hybrid. They do a lot of hybrid stuff now. He did towards the end of his career, and he listened to good coaches that would change it up. They were getting sliced up by the spread. They added new things that 3-3-5 mint, right? The mint and penny, all that stuff that came from getting sliced up. All right, let's talk about the offense. 534 yards of offense, 318 yards passing, 216 yards rushing. That's a good one. 8 penalties called on us. And it's not all offense, but yeah, I just saw that. 28 first downs, 4 of 14 on third downs. I don't love that, but 4 of 4 on fourth. That was good. 75 plays, which is not, ridiculous. and 7.1 yards per play. Some of that was killed towards the end, but they were at like 8, 9 there for a little bit. And then, like I always like to look at the drives. We had 12 drives. And again, a lot of this is because Wyoming likes to kill the game. Wyoming only had 10 drives, right? We saw against uh, up tempo teams, you get about 15 a game. We got 12 today. We scored on 8 of them. That's 67% scoring drives. And, towards the end of the game, we were not looking to score. We were just, killing the clock. Um, we had one 5-minute drive, one 10-play drive, five 70-yard plus drives, including, I think one was like from the, wasn't it like super long? I can't remember. Yeah, what was the 92-yard drive
92
though?
yards, yeah.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Only one three and out. So good. Average time of possession, 2 minutes, 38 seconds, which is only 8 seconds shorter than Wyoming's average, by the way. So, uh, good stuff. Average start, our own 31, which is not bad. It's not ideal. A lot of that's defense stuff. But again, it didn't matter. We get the ball deep in our territory, fine. Take it 92 yards for a touchdown. Score. We
Yeah, and
scored all the ones in the first half. Sorry, that was the last thing I was going to say. All our drives in the first half.
right. So we didn't punt until the second half, which is great. First drive of the second half, but we made up for it later. Um, a lot of stats there, right? What did I like? I was surprised that the time of possession was fairly even, considering that we had 75 plays to their 59. Um, and it's not a lot of plays, but it's not a small amount, right? I think Luttrell was at 80-ish plays, compared to McCartney was what in the 60s, something way lower.
Mm.
The just the style of play is a big factor there. But we were outpacing them really well, and even though we were getting our average start of field position was, what'd you say, 31-yard line, or
Yeah.
31,
Hmm.
we were scoring almost every drive. Um, so we're marching down the field 70 yards for a score, whether that's a field goal, which field goal team looked pretty good, and or touchdowns. I
Hmm.
think we were able to get out of a lot of third downs. I'm trying to find it here. Four out of 14. Well, maybe not that much, but we would put ourselves in such bad situations because of a penalty or because of a hit behind the line. But I felt like we were able to get out of these situations.
Yeah, 4 or 4 on
Um,
fourth downs. I mean that's good. That kind of so then you add that four to that four, and that's eight of
18.
whatever. Yeah, 8 of 18 in like a third or fourth down situation, which I don't think is terrible. Like we got
Right, and
first downs. Yeah.
we were able to move the ball when we had to. And so that's something that you want out of a good team. We were scoring. We were moving the ball. 7 point yards per play is pretty darn good. I remember again pulling from McCartney just because that was when we were running the ball a lot. We were at what, 4 point something yards per play at that
Hmm.
point. Latrell brought it back up to 5 and 6. So 7 point yards per play is pretty darn good. Um,
Yeah, just quick note, we are at for the season 6.65 yards per play. And this includes that terrible Texas Tech game where we couldn't move the ball, right? Which by the way, that puts us at second in the American Athletic Conference to behind, of course, the Naval Academy at 7.63.
that's how everybody thought it would look.
Yeah. It's we're sandwiched between Navy and Army, by the way, like in terms of yards per play. Turns
Are they
out,
both undefeated?
I don't remember what the deal is. But
I
in
think our
terms of
Army is undefeated.
yeah, in terms of plays ran, USF at 307, UTSA at 304, and then us at 292. We've all played 4 games. So, yeah, we run tempo. Yeah, again, to your point, I don't mean to interrupt you here, but yeah, like we're a tempo team, but I think, I mean, and this one, we probably could have run more plays if Wyoming wanted to play a little up tempo. But Wyoming's a ball control type offense without a game manager quarterback, right? And like, if I were them, I mean, you just kind of just like run the ball, and then almost need like an option offense. Like we're just gonna run the ball, and then every once in a while we're gonna stop and just chuck it, 50 yards down the field. Like that's how you get that 7.6 yards per play, right? Because you just, yeah, it's like 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, 75-yard throw. That's really
Well,
what needs to
and that's
happen.
kind of why
Uh,
our play total was kind of lower, right? Because we were able to move the ball so efficiently that we didn't need a lot of plays, and we were in clock killing mode by the end of the third quarter. We had outscored them so much that we were just trying to get out, go home at that point. And so were they. Um, it felt, I mean, and it's crazy to say, right? The game was over by the end of the third quarter. Um, all right,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Our longest drive was only 7 plays, and we kicked a field goal, right? Because we were just killing clock. Before that first half, we had 14 plays when 80 yards scored kicked a field goal. It was 4 minutes 47 seconds. By contrast, their first drive, 11 plays, 62 yards, took 5 minutes and 6 seconds. And just they run the ball, they kind of meander, like very cowboy like, just walking up there, looking at the sunset. I mean, I think that what they have is like to win their style of football because on the broadcast, which is terrible, the ESPN Plus broadcast, which is it was just awful. By the way, I know the Mean Green Radio Network. They had Kyle Humans out there, right? No, no, they're switching things up. Things are happening there. That's all I'll say about it. But like on the ESPN Plus broadcast. They were like, oh, because if you're running tempo, you don't get that first down. That's kind of. I was like, you guys are talking, just throwing out things that people say, but we scored, for all five of our drives, right? Three touchdowns, two field goals. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not getting off schedule. Nothing's. We're moving the ball. Everything is good. Meanwhile, they didn't talk about Wyoming. Like, they have a very specific style of play too, right? It's very brittle in that way. That if you don't get first downs, if you're not running the ball then it's over, right? Like you're gonna get behind the chains. You have a QB that can't complete a 2 yard pass. How do you plan to move the ball? The answer is that they don't plan to move the ball, right? They know that it's not gonna work this way. And you can scheme a guy open, but the quarterback can't get the ball to him. It don't matter. Anyway, I was arguing with these guys. They're terrible.
I tend to keep them pretty low. I don't really tend to listen to the commentators. Um, I'm my own commentator. Um, so big kudos to the running backs.
Well, you do a little Caitlin Clark where you're you're doing. There's and there's number 4, Chandler Morris. Fun fact about Chandler Morris is that he's the son of. Keep going. I
Oh
just
yeah,
imagine you doing
every
that.
single game, every single game. He's the son of Chad Morris, whom we beat multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what's funny is that I had never thought of C4, um, Chandler, and he's jersey number 4, and they said it, and I was like, dang it, why didn't anybody else talk about this? Because he's so explosive, right? That was the joke on the broadcast.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, running backs,
Yeah.
Porter
You know what? I was joking about this. He had a little varsity blues, reverse varsity blues situation. I'm not making any accusation, but I just thought it was funny.
Yeah,
Shane
we're
Porter, yeah, 13.
120 yards.
Yeah, there, and then it was like, all right, end zone, get in there, McGill, go score you some touchdowns. I mean, no, but like, I know it was just a normal rotation. Mackenzie McGill, 6 carries, 38 yards, three touchdowns, his first three.
On
Shout out to McGill.
six carries.
Yeah, half my runs, folks.
And they weren't dives either. They weren't like 1 yard
No, no, he,
scores.
yeah, yeah, he made plays. Like I say, it was funny because I was just telling my wife about it. But yeah, Shane Porter got the broadcast player of the game. He's I thought I don't know the circumstances of everything that happened, right? Because we didn't see Zach Evans at all. I know that Demonte Harris was out because of a knee thing. Same thing with Ragsdale; he had a knee thing, and they probably won't be back until Memphis, right? So there, we play Tulsa, then it's a bye, then it's Memphis, right? So we got some time. Um, I you looked at who was playing well in the second half, right? In garbage time. I called out Shane Porter. I was like, shout out to this dude. He's running hard, right? He's not just like, all right, let me get here, go down. I don't want to get hurt. Like he was running through tackles, trying to make a play. Good stuff for him. I thought Zach Evans did the same thing. So I'm curious about how they did it during the week. But Eric Moore said that he thought that the running back group was played well, right? And shout out to our favorite, um, Mean Green Nation's own. He's been on this show before, Mr. Patrick Cobbs. You know, he got celebrated like way to win the Sun Belt Conference all those years ago when they had black and white TV. It was not black and white, but there was no HD TV. It was all it was all like you know,
They were wearing black back then.
yeah, yeah. There was black, and then Daryl Dickey did have him wear all black jerseys that he got from like Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that. That was fun. But yeah, so Shane Porter ran well. Sibley, Kiefer Sibley, he played. Also, he threw that block. He pancaked somebody so that way DT Sheffield could score. And Chandler Morris gets credit for it, the little touch pass, right? You have on the one hand like those Johnny Unitas
What is
passes.
this?
Yeah, yeah, those Johnny Unitas passes where they like loop back and they chuck it down the field, like they had all kinds of pass interferences back in the 60s, like it's a guy holding on to his face mask, and that's a touchdown pass. And then you like, yeah, that you get credit for that. But the ones where they just do this right here, they just kind of my grandma could give me that kind of pass right there.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like um, that's a credited a touchdown pass to Chandler Morris, but that was a run play, right? And so I'm gonna give credit to the run game in my mind for that one. And shout out to the running back group, Sibley in particular, who made a great block on that play. 39
Yeah, I
yards
mean,
for him, 7 carries.
knocked them. But in what I noticed was that the receivers were blocking downfield awesomely. Where when I'm seeing the play unfold, right at the handoff, I'm like, oh crap, it's not going to be great. The middle is all clogged up. Porter bounces it outside the tackle, and then all of a sudden he's got all this space. All the receivers are blocking downfield, and he's able to go for 14, 15 yards. Not for a score, but he's able to move the ball downfield for the group. Yeah, and we're talking about fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh string running backs. Um, and some of these guys, a lot of us have never heard before. Um, so it's awesome to see that performance out of these guys. And I don't know if they're freshmen or what
I think
class they're.
Sibley's a redshirt freshman. I think yeah. So is McGill. I think they're both redshirt freshmen. They're like in the they're in early in their careers. Porter's a transfer. But I mean like yeah, to all of our points here, right? Credit my own point. I'm gonna talk to that point, as people say. I hate when people say that. Running back you, right? We're an unheralded running back you. Always have good running backs. Like, and it gets tested every year, right? Where like there's like an annual test among the football gods. They're like, okay, how about we take they got a three-headed monster? Let's take one of them out. Let's take two of them out. And this year they're like, yeah, let's take all three of their running backs out of the game. And then their fourth one out too. Let's get him out, right? So Ragsdale, Harris, Price, Zach Evans, all out. So in steps, Shane Porter, right? He has a great running back number. I love running back numbers in the 30s. I especially love them in the 40s, right? You know, Harris. But I like 30s, 31. That's a good running back number. Sibley has a good running back number. McGill has a great running back number, 38, right? I mean, like,
Is that Deshaun Foster or Jonathan Stewart? Trying to
yeah.
remember back.
I mean, well, then obviously, then you got Patrick Cobbs, which is 43, right? Like, I think dare anybody wear that. I mean, you got to be real bold. If you're like, you know what, I'm gonna wear 43 because
Coach. He probably does not allow that. No, I think running back numbers should stay in the 20s. But that's just my personal belief. They can wear whatever they want, but I'll judge.
No, I agree. I mean, I like obviously I remember like Emmitt Smith and stuff like that. But I think like those running back numbers in the 30s, it just kind of like I like it's a solid one because you're like, is he fast? Because the 31s are not really fast. They're like they'll run over you kind of deal. So they
Peyton
get
Hillis.
yeah, and you're like, "Ah," I mean, I like a good running back number, and I think we have some good ones. So whatever. Shea Porter, shout out to him, 120 yards. Kept up it's not a streak, but we kept up the history. It's yet another 100-yard day for North Texas running back Shane Porter, the newest member of that club. Congratulations, right? Maybe tell him, hey, look, I want to wear 43 because I feel like the last guy to wear 43 left a little meat on the bone. Just tell the coach that. See what he says.
the more audience.
Yeah, I say,
Uh,
I mean, yeah, you did little nice things there, pet the Cubs, little Hall of Fame, whatever. But I
but it
mean,
could have been better.
yeah. So and then all right, so DT Sheffield, our leading receiver, 8 catches, 109 yards, 9 targets. He had 84 yak yards after catch. One
Yeah.
drop. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah, the drop in the end zone. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty frustrating. Um, Sheffield has been um awesome this season. You know, we were all thinking Ward would step up, which of course he did. I think he's banged up. He looks like he's playing injured.
Yeah.
Sides, we thought he would be awesome, which he is, but Sheffield is just absolutely dominating this season, and it's great to see. I mean, yeah, 9 targets on the game. That's a lot of that's a
Yeah.
lot of
We were looking to get him the ball. Damon Ward Jr., 1 catch, 7 yards. Oscar Hammond, 1 catch, 17. And that was a nice one. It was up the sideline. It was good. Very air raid type thing. They teach him when the when the defender turns their head, you throw it at the back of his head, right? Like right there. And then the ball will get to the receiver. Anyway. Um, Porter caught a pass. Conwright 4 for 40, 4 targets. I thought Conwright was very good in this one. He obviously scored a touchdown. Good stuff. Uh, We'll get to Morris in a second because I thought he played a very good game. He was moving well, but I just want to run through these receivers again one more time. Uh, Carnes, I thought he had a nice game. He had 90 yards,
90 yards.
a little sneaky 90 yards. Yeah, he was targeted 5 times. He had that long of 34. Landon Sides, 5 catches, 22 yards. I just won the Heisman with this guy, so I'm expecting. I think the video game is doing Landon Sides a disservice because everybody expects him to be amazing all the time already, and he's coming off a little injury, in the off season, so he's still kind of catching up to it.
Well, and so many other people are stepping up too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you kind of get buried in there. There was one awesome play that got brought back by I think it was a holding call. It was outside shoulder pass. I think it might have been the one you're talking about that got called back. But I think it was either Sheffield or Conrad going down the side, or Carnes, I believe. Anyway, Morris places it beautifully, turns around, catches the ball. Amazing. What, 20-yard play, gets called back on a holding call. Um, but I think I'm starting to dive into talking about Morris here.
So yeah, we'll get to him. Say we got one more. Nick Rempert, right? I think he was listed as number 20 on the sheet, on the number chart. Because I saw him as 9. I was like, who's 9? I don't remember no 9. And then if you look at the numeric roster, the only 9 is Shipley. So I was like, who's the offensive 9? It's Nick Rempert, Tulsa transfer. 5 grabs, 31 yards. I thought he played well in that. He's kind of backing up Damon Ward, right? I thought he played well. That's the takeaway. Is that we didn't really ask our receivers to do a whole lot in this game, but I thought they'd made some great catches. I thought
Yeah,
DT
but they still
Sheffield,
did.
yeah, there was one early in the game, and I think it was to move the chains. It was like on fourth down play where we ran a little double slants outside, great versus man. And Sheffield caught it. It was low, so he had to dig down and catch it. And that's one of those ones where, like it's easy to drop and easy to make excuses. Like, oh well, the quarterback got to put it in, right here. And yeah, sure, but your job is to catch the ball, right? Like the everybody but the receivers coach would say, oh well, I understand that one, right? The receivers coach is gonna tell you, hey, you gotta make that catch. It's in your hands. You catch that, right? I think it helps that our head coach is a former receiver because he's not going to have a lot. He's like, dude, you got to catch that, right? So credit to the receivers making a great catch, helping the quarterback out, and you can see what good it had for the thing. So let's talk about Chandler Morris, 28-41, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. One was more of a run play, but we'll give it to him, right? Like,
It's still a pass.
yeah, he gets those, and then he all because he has to eat the interceptions from last week, right? That were mostly Kyle Koch's fault, when he's like, "Oh, my face." Um,
I mean,
yeah,
somebody's got to get it to the receiver or to the
yeah,
running back, right? It's not a handoff. You got to toss it to him. Not a toss because that is still a run, right? It's a shovel pass. It's not a
yeah.
shovel run. It's a
I
end
mean,
your run
I get it, I
jet
get it.
pass, not a jet
I'm
run.
I'm just saying all passes are not the same. You know what I mean? Like it's like one you get a
I
little
get it.
John Elway, Brett Favre one, like oh he fit it between 3 guys. You know what I mean? And put it right on his hands, and the other one's like oh.
Bloop.
Yeah, bloop, and the guy just takes everybody, takes it through everybody and scores. Okay, one's not
But
like the other. I'm
but
just
it's
saying.
great play design. I'm sorry, I think I'm meandering on Morris versus the play calling too, where you're training the defense to react to that end around, and then you change it around on them throughout the game. Kind of the chess versus checkers kind of situation. A good example for Wyoming was their touchdown to the running back. They ran a counter on the line with their guard and their tackle, and my eyes went to the line to see where the running back was running through. And I think the our defense took the bait too and crashed down. And that's when the running back got open for the touchdown. So it's you're training them to react against the situation in a way you want them to in order to get the score. And we were able to do that quite a bit too. And I'm yelling at the TV. There was another play, Morris, um, uh, on the left side, on the far side, you saw the defensive backs pull away. The Wyoming's defensive backs pull away from the receivers, and they're like, "Oh, it's probably going to be a screen." And they set up for the screen on the outside. And I'm like, Chandler, C4, pass it to the screen. But he never looks that way. He looks downfield. It doesn't matter. He passes it and gets a first down. It's been awesome watching him work. Obviously, he was last week was not great. The past couple of weeks, he's been out of sorts, right? But he's still looking downfield, looking to press it. The gunslinger mentality that we've talked about a lot, that we want from our guys. And the addition is that he's got an arm and he's accurate. Obviously, he's thrown some picks and he's had some bad luck here and there, and he trusts his capabilities almost a little too much, but that's okay. We want that. That's why he's getting 300 yards. That's why he's getting three touchdown passes, two touchdown passes every game. He is the passer that we've been asking for a long time, and we finally got it. And whether that's through because of recruiting or because of the offense that we run that just gets a volume of yards. I hope that improves our recruiting going forward. So say come to North Texas because if you want 109 yards, 9 targets every game, this is the place that you want to be.
Yeah, I would say like, so everybody talks about a gunslinger, like, oh, he's gonna throw the ball that maybe shouldn't, like all that stuff. I think of it as, yeah, like you need that sometimes, right? You need that strikes fear in the heart of a defense, right? You're like, we have this schemed up so that we don't throw this. And we're like, the guy's like, I'm not afraid of that because my skills are good enough, my arm's good enough. I trust my receivers enough to throw that pass and it still be completed, right? And I think about Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. They were able to do that. Where like you're like, what defense can we throw at this guy? Because he's gonna find there's a way, there's a way to fit it in there. There's a way to throw a pass and be dangerous. Now the thing is that you want to marry that with the situation, right? Don't do that on first down, first quarter. We don't need that then. We need it in the fourth quarter, down to like you don't want to be like, oh, they're in cover two. I can't throw this route against cover two. I'm gonna do a check down, right? That's not what you want because you're like, all right, now's the time to use the shouldn't throw, the big arm, make a play, get open, find a dude, and so that's what I think of. Like you compare it to basketball, that's easier for you to be like a guy that can make a he can score against two dudes, right? You don't want to build your offense on scoring against two guys, but in the fourth quarter when we need a bucket, yeah, dude. The best option is you scoring against whoever's guarding you, right? You know, step back three, right? Do that one. Do the step back three thing. Do that right now against whoever's guarding you because we need it. We need that. We need that to happen. So that's the thing. Like that's be a gunner, be a scorer, be a guy that's going to do the you need it when the odds are against you. I always talk about shouldn't plays, right? You always need people that make shouldn't plays. Like you can scheme up whatever. Here's I'm gonna scheme up this run for 4 yards, but you have a running back that could turn 4 yards into 8 yards, 8 yards into 70. That's what you want.
Well,
I
and
think. Go ahead.
sorry, and to that point, we were just saying we're turning those 8 yards into 70 is not just because he runs fast, and it's not just because he can break tackles, right? The same analogy goes to the quarterback is that he's able to see the field better than others. He's able to anticipate my guy's gonna block this guy that and then that means the if I do this move, it's gonna cause the safety behind him to go the other direction, which will open it up for me on the right side. So all of that is processing in milliseconds. And it's not even processing, right? It's a reaction to what's going on in front of you, the natural instinct. And that's how that running back's going to turn 8 yards to 70. That's how the Morris is going to see the field, maybe a pump fake, or he's got the ability to read the keys properly. And he's like, okay, that means my guy's going to be open. If I throw it, it's going to be there for him. And that's how it unfolds for them on the field, which is awesome. It's not just being able to turn nothing into something. It's being able to be a processor and be have that high IQ.
Yeah, the I think the case in point was a touchdown he threw to Conrad is that he evaded pressure. He stepped up in the pocket and he slung it like, he was going left. He threw it right up the hash. Conrad catches it, touchdown, North Texas, right? Turns a nothing play or a less than play. Like if he scrambles for 5 yards, whatever it is, we say good job. That's a good job, right? It's a perfect example of that. Like if I mean if Wyoming had like they're like just scramble Svoboda, but they'd be happy with that, say good job, and they talk about that. But he moves up in the pocket after evading the rusher and throws a touchdown pass. That's what we want. That's the kind of gunslinging we want. So good stuff by Chandler Morris, C4 as you call him. Your name for him, and only Aldo's name for him.
Trademark copyrighted.
That hey, that's all part of winning football right here. So let's take the briefest look because I think we're nearing the end. Yeah, we got about 4 minutes left in the show. Let's take the briefest look at Tulsa, that old rival. Are they a rival? I like playing Tulsa. I tell you, it's like I don't fear them. Like I'm not thinking, oh, Tulsa's so good, we got it. But like I think of them. I like that they're so close. Like I can drive to Tulsa. You can drive to Tulsa. Not you anymore, but you
I
listener.
can't it.
Yeah, you can't drive to Tulsa. But like I feel like it's a good team to have there. They're not so good that you're like, oh, they're gonna just stomp us every week. Here's the Tulsa resume. 62 to 28 winners over Northwestern State. Was Northwestern State the team that South Alabama put 87 on?
I believe so.
Yeah. So 62 to 28. That was the win. Then they went to Arkansas State and lost. It's in Jonesboro, 24-28. Lost that one. Then they lost to Oklahoma State 45 to 10. That was last week. And this week they beat Louisiana Tech in Ruston 23 to 20 in overtime. And it was kind of crazy because they sacked the quarterback. He flipped the ball. The linebacker took it all the way and dived into the end zone, but they said he was short. So then, Tulsa had to run some offense, and they lost some yards, and they kicked a field goal, and that was it. So this is going to be their third third road game out of five for Tulsa. So they're traveling to Denton. It's not that far, right? So they might get a good crowd. But yeah, another home game for North Texas. We host Tulsa. We beat them last year. You might remember. I was there. I went to Tulsa, and I saw, my kids got Batman ice cream. They thought that was the coolest thing. Uh, I mean, it was. I remember
Well,
getting them.
I think was something we failed to mention is that
No,
Tulsa's
we mentioned everything that's important.
that
No,
Tulsa's coming to our house while we're at 3-1. A feat that has not been completed since what was that number? 1990, 1991?
yeah, it was yes, but also we were 4-0 in 2018. So I mean, yes,
Oh,
yes, you're
okay.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that nope, don't tell anybody that. 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, so like here's the deal: is that they're a good opponent to come in to open conference play with, right? They're not a juggernaut. They're not your Memphis or because Memphis is basically the one that everybody figures is going to win this league right now.
the ones who
Uh,
lost to Navy?
yeah, I mean, every week, that's the other part of it is that every week. is a new week, right? And I thought the Salville, Jason, was it Jay? The coach for Wyoming said, had a good point. He's like, look, one, he's like, we're not going to judge anybody on an avalanche hitting them because that happened to us, right? Talking about the Texas Tech loss. And he said, it doesn't matter. Whatever the score last week was, nobody cares. It's 0-0 when you're playing. It doesn't matter what Tulsa did or didn't do. And it doesn't matter what we did to Wyoming because we got to play Tulsa, right? We play next weekend on Saturday, and that's all that matters. So um, I don't think that like their range of possibilities is not like 66 points against us, right? Like, but you never know. James Madison put up 70 against North Carolina. Like, you got to take every opponent seriously. But I'm talking about for you and I, we don't have to take Tulsa seriously. They do. Eric Morris does. Right now, he has to break down film. Right, he has to watch Louisiana Tech take on Tulsa today. I'm not watching that game, but he's gonna have to watch that game, and he's gonna have to have hot sports opinions. Get a little notepad out, right? Scribble down some thoughts. I willn't. I will not be doing that. I'm gonna have more of this, latte. That's what I'm gonna do.
It's is this season unfolding the way we thought it would so far when we did
Yeah,
our
yeah, yeah,
predictions?
yeah. I mean, I forgot where I have where are your predictions right here in this. Let me see. Look at this. Look at that. Well, you can't see it because
It's invisible. There it is.
the invisible book. I think it might be in the other room. I'll look at it again, but if you can go back to the things, folks, and listen to what we said. No, it's not in this one. It's a different one. But I will say, because I published that ebook, I said we'd be 3-1. I said we'd only lose to Texas Tech because I felt like their Big 12 size and speed would get the better of us. I did think that Wyoming was going to be better, so I thought we'd win 38-31. I was like hedging against some things, but I will say that our offense has been better or as good as I thought it'd be. Chandler Morris is a lot better quarterback than I thought we'd have, and I think our defense has improved as expected. I, there's a lot of injuries because that always happens, and it looks different than we thought it would be. But North Texas 3-1. I thought we'd be 3-1, and I thought we'd beat Tulsa too. So
Yeah, I knew that this offense would be explosive just because of the nature of the play calling and the design and stuff. I didn't expect us to score this much. I think we're exceeding those expectations on
you're
points per
you're
game.
exceeding your own expectations because you're a hater,
I
and
guess
that's I
that's
guess
what I, that's guess
that's
that's
a
what I mean.
good reason to be a hater. I think it's like, what, they're not doing anything. Hey, they surpassed my expectations. So we both ended up with like thinking they'd be 8-4. I think it was.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I thought that our game. I thought FAU would be better, and they're terrible, right? So I'm a little bit more hopeful about that. October is it October 12th game? Did I have that wrong? Did I have that right?
I don't know.
No, yeah, I just spoke it wrong. So it's Tulsa, a bye, FAU, then Memphis. There you go. I mean, it's printing something behind me. Um, so yeah, like I thought we'd lose to Tulane. That's who I also thought was good. Tulane, and I thought we'd lose to Memphis, I think. And then I thought we'd lose to FAU. I think those are the ones that was like or something. I forget exactly the order, but I definitely thought we'd lose on the road to FAU because I felt like Boca Raton is always kind of weird to travel to, and whenever North Texas goes to Florida, something weird happens there. I don't know. There's like a curse, and yeah, I thought that was a deal. But I'm a little bit more hopeful than I was previously, just because FAU is terrible, and I'm like, yeah, we can score a couple touchdowns. I don't think Tom Herman has a squad. He doesn't have the magic. So
Man, how far has he fallen?
yeah, yeah, he was hot stuff. Well, I always said, look, that season that he got hired to Texas, right? He upset Oklahoma with Houston, and it was a big thing. Everybody's like, "Oh man, they're good," but Houston fell apart. They were not good the rest of the season. They were doing a lot of losing. So I mean, whatever. Like I think he was riding high on like half a year stretch is what it was. Um, All right, let's do a little mini reevaluation. I know it's not a great time to do it, but we end September next week, right? End of month thing. Looking ahead to October, it's by FAU, excuse me, Memphis, Tulane, right? Three road games, two road games. Sorry, how's that looking for you?
So repeat that one more time. It was Memphis, Tulane, and what?
Well, it's
F.
Tulsa next week,
Hmm.
at FAU, at Memphis, then home Tulane.
It's you hate to travel as the North Texas team. Maybe we split that. We win
I
something we shouldn't win, and we lose one that we shouldn't lose.
Yeah, I think it really depends the trip to Memphis because I think Memphis has a physical offense. I mean, they sliced us up last year in Denton, but we scored against them pretty easily, right? Like it was what 45-42. I think Memphis is weaker than we think they are, than they think that they are, and I think they're vulnerable. Like 3 straight seasons we played Memphis. I think we've had good games against them. Um, I don't fear Memphis, but they do have some a little bit. What about Army UTSA ECU at Temple? That last one. I don't think my opinions on that have changed.
Um, you you
Army at home, UTSA away.
so Army is performing really well. Um, it's I think it's too soon. I want to watch us perform in conference. Ah, screw it. Let's talk about it then. I don't want to weasel my way out of it.
No
Um,
weaseling.
uh, I'm gonna say undefeated. I don't care. I'm gonna go undefeated on that 4 game stretch.
I mean, it's not like I think we can beat Army. I think the service academies or it always like are they executing better than we are? But I think man for man, we always have a lot more talent, right? And that's just kind of how it works.
Well, realistically, I think Army's gonna be tough.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be tough. And that's like the beauty of it. But like Army's always, it's because of the restrictions and stuff that they're not gonna have the same talent, but they always can kick your behind. Doesn't matter, right? So you have to come into it to find a way to execute with your talent the way that they execute, and that's always the trick. Um, and we'll get into this another time, but this is also why I think that the idea behind the 3-3-5 was built to stop the Big 12 spread, right? There's not a lot of spread teams in the AAC, not as many, right? Like there's a lot of teams that like to run. Memphis is happy to run at you, Army, Navy, and maybe coming Air Force, right? That we probably should be ready to, I think going to a 3-4 is not terrible. Navy runs like a 3-4, right? And I think they have a lot of success. Um,
Well, I will say that Army and Navy are both top teams in the league so far.
Yeah, I mean, Navy looks real scary right now. We don't play Navy this season, so we don't have to worry about them yet. Maybe in the AAC title game. Hint, hint, wink, wink, flirt. Drop my what is that? Doily? What is that thing?
Hmm.
Napkin? Kerchief? Here's the one I want to win. Let's go to UTSA. Let's go to the Alamo Dome on November 15th, and let's put a hurting on them. Like they look real vulnerable. It's gonna be empty there, I think, because the fans are not supporting them right now. Let's go down there and whoop them. Let's put a hurting, right? Let's do a little C4, right? That's one I really want to see happen.
Click,
We're
click, boom.
Yeah, ECU lost their number one quarterback. That's a big thing. I think the Temple kid kicked it like a 64-yard field goal. That's the thing about Temple. Temple's not good still, but that seems like a cool trip to go to Philly.
Yeah,
Let's
our toughest challenges are going to be Army, ECU, Memphis, Tu Tulane.
Yeah, I mean that's how it works. I feel good about North Texas this season. I think that's kind of my point in going doing that exercise there is looking at the schedule. Is that whatever we thought in the offseason, I don't think there's a lot of hype because we're like, well, is this defense going to be any good? I was bullish on the defense, and I think it's borne out some obvious, very bad moments getting whooped by Texas Tech. But the promise we saw in that third quarter against South Alabama, who's gone on to do some amazing things right now, right? Let's not forget that South Alabama is whooping up on App State. They're putting some numbers up. They have an explosive offense. So it turns out we might have a secret, pretty good defense. I mentioned this before is that like Tech and South Alabama are very good deep offenses, putting up like 7 yards per play. They were good offenses last year. Cal and FIU were not, and they made us look terrible. So to say, oh man, it looks just like the Cal game, yes, but for a different reason, right? Cal was doing that, and they were not good. So We're making them better. FIE was doing that, and we're making them look good. They're not as good. Tech, South Alabama are good, and so them doing that is just them playing at level, right? So we didn't make SFA look better. We did not make Wyoming look better. That's fine. Like that's a nice little standard the rest of the way. If so, go through the stats, look at them, say, where does Tulsa average? If we can hold them to that average, can we win? And I think that's the question, right? That's how we're going to approach the previews the rest of the way. Because I think we can say with good reasoning, good backups that the defense at worst is going to hold them to their average, and I don't hate that. I think that's fine. We just be an average team. Hey, that's what we wanted. Let's be
That's what we
average,
want. Yeah.
average, average. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the shows, the Mean Green Nation podcast. Subscribe to it and all the places that there are available for subscription services. We're not an OnlyFans, so sorry about that.
Not yet.
Aldo's working on it. He's looking at the studio. All right, we're done. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.